Hello, hello, everyone. It is Kenyon here. It is Basketball Rewind, and I'm here joined by Beyond. Coach cannot make it today. That's okay. The show must go on, at least for now, until I get too busy. So, with that being said, like, comment, subscribe on the way out, hit the bell notification because it does help everything, to be honest. Also, 230, we've just passed the mark, so every single time we go up, gonna say, hey, we went up. Happy for it. Thank you for everyone who just joined. And with that being said, we're going to start. So for this week's episode, we're going to talk a little bit of Raptors. We're going to talk about, the upcoming All-Star reserves. We're going to talk about Gradey. We're going to talk about certain things like, other awards like Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and potential MVP, and what we think, who we think will actually get those. So with that being said, also, we should be talking about RJ Barrett. And because tonight was the night that it was, of course, the Raptors just lost, but Indiana won. And why am I mentioning Indiana? No, it's not the reason that you think it is. It's because Ben Mathurin, that's right, I'm on a mathy watch. I like math, you should too. And the reason why I like math is because I hope that Mathurin is on the Canadian national team. There's other reasons that I like math, but I'm not going to go into them today. So let's get into it. Let's jump down into it. So, Beyond, how are you doing? Sorry for the whole long spiel there.
That's all right, man. I mean, yeah, man, that bathroom dunk was something else, boy. Woo. I mean, that's what I was referring to today when I was watching some of the game in between the football games. But yeah, I'm doing all right, man. There's a lot of pigskin, a lot of gridiron today.
You did
And
get Wingstop.
yeah.
Detroit doesn't go hungry tonight.
Oh, God. They're playing more competitive lately.
They
Yeah,
are.
they put it that way. Yeah, they got a little fight in them lately. And they always checked in on the Raps to see what they were up to. It was interesting on a few levels tonight. A little more intriguing than some of the games previously. So yeah, we're gonna dive into some of that and some of the other topics around the league as you mentioned. So yeah, I'm doing well though.
I always find it funny when some people sit and then a team is more competitive. That people are like, "Oh, it's because the guy sat or whatever." I remember last year, and someone was like, "Jaw's been sitting." So Memphis is better without Jaw, like that kind of thing. It's like, no, they're not better without Jaw, or whichever. So I mean, even this year, it's funny. There's times when we had guys sitting on, not from injury. We've actually been relatively healthy this year, but just guys sitting on the bench, and then the bench would go on a run. It's like, that's not always how it works. I think I made this during one of the spaces. Shout out to, I guess, Raptors Live TV, of course. Um, I think it's really interesting because you do something like that and you make these huge assumptions without watching the game, and then you actually watch the game. And part of it has to do with energy and whatnot. I'm just wondering, what do you think about that?
I think it depends on who's on the court, right? Like if you got a bunch of veterans and they're a team that's not going anywhere, sometimes people give veterans sometimes too much the benefit of the doubt. But like those guys know in this case here what the deal is, and you don't usually sometimes see as much maybe I don't want to use the word effort, but as much gusto as you would sometimes. You've got some young hungry players trying to make it their next contract, and you see a different mindset. So and that mindset could be positive or negative as well too. To be fair, right? Because you see some guys out there gunning, and then the other guys just really hustling hard. So I think it depends on what type of like. I honestly think that's where the coaching comes in the franchise. And if the coaching and the franchise are set a certain standard, to quote my man from Pittsburgh, the standard is the standard, Mike Tomlin. And then if you set that, then everything else falls into place. That even if you have a bunch of injuries, you have a certain level of competency that you will not fall below.
Well, I think one of the things that you're looking for, and we might be slowly seeing this with the Raptors even, is some sort of form of consistency with that second unit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slowly getting there. We'll see how starts to manage his minutes moving forward. But that's something that I'm noticing is that um, he seems to have figured out his back end of rotation a little bit more than people. I'm not a Darko fan. I mean, heck, the other day I mentioned that I didn't like the chevron jersey. I've just never been a fan of them. And then
Mhm.
people were like, well, "We won a championship in the Chevron jersey, so you don't support the Raptors. You just want to get rid." I'm like, "What the heck is this person talking about?" Right? So I just don't like the jersey. Uh, but yeah, I mean we're obviously in a new era, but I know people are calling it the bench mob. I'm not gonna call it no bench mob. I actually I forget who said it on Twitter, but whoever it is, shout out to you. DNP today was really good. I'm going to say DNP because it was a coaching decision to put them on the floor. Hope you like that one.
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, yeah. I mean, overall, you're right. The bench has looked much better.
yeah,
I think started from the most obvious thing that should have been done from the first place, which is moving Shooter to the bench. That was the first piece of the puzzle.
yeah,
Then you started getting the other piece of the puzzle, I think, is where Porter showed some type of competence from the five position off the bench. So that was a second piece that kind of got in there.
until the eye poke. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he played well today. Like, I mean, he played very well today. I think he had 12 or 14 points, had a few rebounds. That's all you want from a guy like that. He plays 15, 20 minutes tops. That's all you want. And then the third piece is, which is starting to come to fruition now, and maybe we'll get into a little bit more, but getting some scoring punch from those wing positions, and you're seeing a little bit from our number one pick overall, and we'll get him a little bit later.
Yes.
Gradey starting to come around, and then Nwora, and to give him some love, he looked great tonight. And like we're in a position right now where you really do have to ask yourself why Nwora wasn't even playing a little earlier. Because like whose minutes are we stopping Nwora from getting? Like really?
Um,
Like, is it
Bruce
Gary?
Brown. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, if the New
I'm
York
being facetious.
no, I don't think you're that far off because the New Yorkers are back. I call them the New Yorkers for simplicity.
Yes.
Come back in the lineup. Okay, so who gets pushed back to the bench? Bruce Brown would get pushed back to the bench, and I guess the other person would be GTJ, right? But he was starting still. So GTJ was still starting because of the Pearl
Yeah.
injury stuff. There. So you're only missing one slot there.
It might be Bruce Brown actually that gets pushed back to the bench.
Yeah, he would get pushed back
because Dennis shouldn't be starting, and then again RJ is starting over someone. So it's either it's Bruce Brown or it's saying if I'm the Raptors, you'd probably want the Bruce Brown to be showcased more against bench units because that's the role that he's going to be playing on most other teams.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
he'll look better.
Well, yeah. Plus you could have him starting like the spacing, as well. So you could have him. So. You got Thad out there if you're going to continue to have Thad start, and then you throw in there, you can't have him plus Thad plus RJ, right? Like, so you're kind of back where you were with the Siakam situation a little bit, so, I'm just saying, I know it's a trigger word for some folks, but
hey man, you swap that out for, or even Jonte out for Pirtle, and again, you're back at the same situation.
Cheers. So
for some reason, people haven't. There's a lot of people that haven't realized that. Like, no, if you get someone like Grimes or whatever on this team, or whoever it may be, RJ's still starting.
Yeah, of course he's starting. That's ridiculous. Yeah, but Brown moving back here, so he would. I guess the Nwora minutes that we're seeing tonight were actually Brown's minutes off the bench, which is a little something that they really have to consider a little bit because they're going to find this kid some time, and maybe that forces the front office's hand to make the move because I think they would get. Honestly, I think I said it earlier tonight in space. I think the team you see here is essentially the team you're going to get for the rest of the season. I don't know if they're going to make any more moves. I really don't think so.
Well, it's interesting because Chris Boucher, his minutes have been tapering down. So I still think that there's a chance that Chris Boucher might be on the move. I agree with you about Brown. We talked about it offline that we think that Brown might be on this team, at least because then he's an expiring. And also, I just don't think that it's easy to find the deals for him right now. It might be easier to incorporate a guy like that in the summer as much as, just in terms of suitors. And also, I think you can aggregate his salary with other salaries. So it could be a good draft day move. Obviously, if there's the right move, there's the right move, people. So I'm not advocating one way or another. I really don't care. I'm not Masai. And I don't want that job. Definitely not now. So
that
yeah.
want these days. But yeah, Nwora looked
Mm,
good though. I mean,
yeah,
I
he
like.
did.
Yeah, he's attacking the hoop. There's a ferocity he has that I think very similar to Barrett, where they have a certain ferocity that we've lacked on this team for a long time.
Well, I think we both said when the trade happened that of the I almost said two of the three Indiana guys. Well, count the guy that even took a quick stopover in Indiana. Um, Nwora would be one of the ones that has a chance to carve out a role long term, and when I say long term, I mean, for the next, say, 2, 3 years. Um, Kyra Lewis, I said before, and I'm going to stick to this. I don't see it. I know a lot of people are asking for his minutes. He's undersized. We already have an undersized point guard, which is Dennis. Um, he's not playing over quickly, so what's the point? Right? Like it's
No, it makes no sense. And that would literally go right back to what we are talking about before. We're just remaking the same team we had before. He essentially was playing the foil like Flynn, and we were right back there again.
Yeah, and it's again, it's you have to ask yourself based on I don't know if you've watched him in the G League, and if you haven't, don't no judgment. You're not missing much, but 2 for 14. But it goes beyond just like the stats. If you watch him, he's fast, but it's like, can he? I think I made this comparison to someone else. I think it was Scoot, where it's like, can you control your speed like you're a race car, or do you just go fast, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's a dope.
And I don't.
There's
I
a,
think he has the speed. I don't know if he knows how to shift
well,
gears.
yeah, and a lot of guys come out of college like that. There's a very few of them that can control the speed. There's no, that's the reason why those guys end up being like Allen Iverson and John Wall,
You
right?
know who was kind of like that? Norm, in some ways, when
Well,
he
yes,
first came in.
came in that he couldn't control. Everything was the same pace. You didn't know how to shift speeds, gear down in some ways, if you want to call it that. And then you learn that over time. But he still had some moments where it's like, whoa, hey. But yeah, I think but overall he had some, I think, as I think I mentioned to you and we're in a space together today, is like it shows you how bad from a talent standpoint we were last year, that some of the moves he was making today, it just had people like, oh my gosh, it's like they were good moves, but it was like it's anything special. It's just the fact that we were so, I use the word bereft in this case here. I'll use it here too, of talent, that it just seems shocking to the system, where you see like, oh my God, a bench guy can actually do a spin move. Oh my gosh, a guy can tap the hoop and actually adjust in the lane. Like, what's going on here? So I think that thing is almost like a shocking, like almost like sticker shock. So I like what he had there. So I think that's all I have to say. The Raptors. I think at this point we know we're in a rebuild phase, and I'm just looking, as I said to someone else today, I'm just checking out number one to see what he's up to, and we'll get to him in a second. And I'm just curious to see how Mr. Barnes' temperament is throughout the season, because I think that's going to be a fascinating study to see
Absolutely.
a
And
lot.
you say bereft of talent. I go a couple letters down. I always say devoid. We didn't have much people. Like this is why I keep saying, like,
Not there.
when I talk about the past, I'm not talking about the past because I'm obsessed with the past. I'm talking about the past to make a point towards the future, in the hope that, please, Masai, do the right thing. I don't want Scotty Barnes, when he is ready to compete for the playoffs, to have to play 40 minutes a night.
Right.
You want a team that's better, where it's like he can play 30 minutes a night and you can still win. So, but with that being said, yeah, no, I guess real quick actually on Jordan Nwora, just today specifically, obviously had a breakout game. He was almost a 40% shooter in college, just so people know, and has been up and down in the league in terms of shooting. But he's had times when he's shot above 40%. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe he shot like at least 2 or 3 seasons above 40%, if I'm not mistaken. So he's shown some stuff. He's been in playoff minutes. He is actually an NBA champion. I think I mentioned it today on the space. But yeah. So I mean, he has some experience in the league. And he's young enough, and most importantly, he has some size to him, which is also what we're lacking on that bench. I mean, obviously Gradey is Gradey, but Grady's not going to be relied on to be a potential two-way player in the future, more than likely. But we will get to Gradey in a second. But with Jordan, I think he also knows how to use his size. And when I say Grady's 6'7", this guy's like 6'7", 6'8". But he also, because he's been in the NBA for longer, he's just physically more in tune with his body in terms of how to use it. It's not perfect and stuff like that. He has to get a bit better touch, but overall, he's getting to the rim and he's getting the chances, and sometimes it is actually going in. He's not off balance when he's or stiff when he's making those spin moves and going to the hole. So he seems like he might grow into an a halfway decent player, which is nice.
No, exactly. I don't have much more to say about it. I mean, those are the things, those guys are kind of the guys I'm just watching for to watch how they develop at this point.
Exactly. And I can't remember if we have his restricted rights or not, but like we're probably, if we want to keep him, I think he's there. I think that that's the key. All right, so we'll move down the line. We're not going to cover every single person on the team because it takes too long and we're not that good. So, Gradey. So, also some people are just injured, frankly. So if you're injured, I don't really, some of the people, it's like, was there an auto sighting? No, there wasn't. Next. Okay. So, Grady's minutes. Today, we've seen Grady's minutes kind of creep up. And this is why I said before at the beginning of the season, I said he wasn't quite ready, but I said, for like starting minutes, I know everyone's like, oh, he's going to start over GTJ. And you and I even said like he should be starting over GTJ eventually, but we weren't saying like day one. It just didn't make sense. But you can see he's now slowly getting this. The game is, as they say, slowing down for him, and it's nice to see he's able to contribute in a number of ways. Gets a couple rebounds, gets a couple, assists. Usually gets into the mix. He's usually not making silly mistakes. And one thing that I will point out, and this is kind of taking from coach, since coach isn't from here or isn't here, but I will give him his shine, is he said that he's getting better defensively in terms of he's getting into positions. So he's always known, I mentioned this before, that a guy will go past him. Say Trae Young will just go past him. But what he will do is he will position himself a little further back, and he's learning how to use his length a bit better. And what that offers him is that it offers him a chance to now start taking charges, and that's kind of improved. And we don't have a lot of people on this team that can do that or that are willing to do that. So that's nice to see. Any thoughts?
No, I was actually gonna bring that point up too, that what, like as much as everyone's focusing on the shot and he's making shots, which that's what he's paid to do. But he also, the reason why he was shipped down to the G League is that he couldn't stay. He was such a huge liability on defense. And now, your point, everything's slowing down for him on both ends of the court, right? I made a comment today about how he did a pump fake, which is kind of like, it seems to be a bit of a pet move he likes to have, where everyone's running at him, pump fakes, dribbles in, maybe one or two bounces, pull up shot, which is, I saw a lot in college, which is what I liked about him. And one of the things I can imagine him be doing on this team. In the first part of the year, in the first 20 games, that shot essentially is either getting blocked by other defenders, or he would get hung up in the air because the recovery was too quick for him. What I find he's doing now he's much more assertive on what he wants to do, and he's getting that move. He's making that move a lot quicker. He got it off today, that shot. Well, a lot of space actually against Atlanta, and that's good to see, because I think if he could have that in his repertoire, that's just another weapon that he can use when the runouts start happening. He doesn't have to go all the way to the hoop. I think that would be a bit of a tough road for him at this point. He's got decent athleticism. He's not great. He's not like a high flyer. So for him,
Right.
he needs that shot to be there for him as an option if he thinks he can't get all the way to the hole.
As they
So,
say, like his self creation is mainly like, I guess, ground based in
yeah,
a sense, which isn't a bad thing, right? It's just you're not expecting him to, and I dunk on some dude like Vince Carter dunking over the French dude.
but the defensive part, the coach's point, is what I really like. What I've seen the last few days or games where he's moving his feet, and to your point, he's anticipating where he thinks the play is going to go now. Where I
Yep.
see a few times now, he's also figuring out the switches as well too, where he's figuring out quickly how this, get and when it switches and get to his guy. You can see a few times today. This guy is chuckling. You can see a few times today I mean, even Bogdanovich, man, is like, yo, man, it's like, yo, white guy crying here. Even Bogdanovich want a piece of him, and he's like, yo,
Yes.
he was up for the task. Like, oh, really? You think you got punk me? So good on Gradey, man. Everyone wanted to get a little shot at him, but he held his own, and he got caught in trey a couple times, but he wasn't too bad. It wasn't anything that was putting him out of putting him in harm's way too much. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing him coming down the stretch, man. That's glad.
Yeah, he's also done a really good job of running the floor well. I've always said that, like, he's a really good floor runner that, always just like sprints down, one of the first guys down all the time. I like the fact that like he gets a lot of creation from cutting, which is really good. That's kind of something that you need as an off-ball mover. So if I compare him to Gary and the amount of times that I've seen Gradey get cuts and dunks and stuff like that versus Gradey, ironically, you might actually say that Grady's probably had more of that. Now they play different games, but it's just in terms of the lateral quickness, I think Gradey actually does possess the ability to get to the hoop. Obviously, some of it's just like, for example, I'm looking at this one, he got to the hoop. He actually, self-created. It's just like he's going up against, it looks like Clint Capella, right? And it's like he's a rookie. So he has the swooping, I'm doing it with the wrong hand, but it is swooping, lay-in, and it just like comes off the rim. And that's the other thing too, is that like I see what he's doing, and it's not like, it seems like he's missing in consistent ways rather than like all over the place and like what's going to happen. And that's another thing, because then you have a basis to say, here is some tape, here's some patterns to work on. Finally, to end the Gradey point, he talked to a special person today. I don't know if you saw that.
Who did he talk to?
Kyle Korver.
Oh, really?
He was talking to Kyle Korver and Savannah Hamilton. Shout out to her. Hopefully one day she comes on the show. Savannah Hamilton was actually pointing out that Gradey, after the game, apparently mentioned to her that he was giving him some tips and stuff like that about how to, what to work on and stuff. So that was kind of cool as well.
It's funny because one play of a timeout in this case here, I think Scotty was back in the game, and they ran the play for Gradey for the top of the three for a 3-point shot, which is a classic Kyle Korver. Coming out of the thing for be it LeBron or someone looking for Kyle Korver or the old Atlanta days. So, with T and those boys, so it was interesting. They ran a play which was an old Atlanta play or old Korver play. I'm glad they ran a play for that, and that leads to the point where it's like they're actually looking for him in motion, which is something we've been begging for all year. And for all the folks who are killing Gradey, is like we keep saying this, man. Understand your personnel. We keep saying so. Gradey is a movement shooter. He's a bit of the opposite of what people expect, which is a standstill shooter. He's not that, but you can see he's still not quite comfortable with the standstill shot because he hit one in the corner in the first half where he literally slowed down his motion. If you recall the one out by the Atlanta bench, and I didn't think he was going to get it off because like he took such a long time to kind of get everything set. Whereas like I don't know if the guy got shot who the Atlanta defender was. He shot like, wait, you're now shooting? Like
Yeah, it was I want to say.
Who was it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and he got it to the corner, and it was Clint Capella just kind of like jogged over, and then he just took his time with the slow release, but it went in.
Deliberate. Yeah, one particular. But I mean, I loved it, man. But I'm glad they ran some stuff for him moving. It was great to see, and I hope, as I said before, that's what's just giving me joy at this point, watching Raptors games, seeing stuff like that. So
I could be wrong. I think one of I'm just kind of going through it in the background, but I think one of them. They actually, I'm looking at one of them right now where they kind of got him off of like a stagger screen. It wasn't the best stagger screen set, to be perfectly honest and fair to Gradey.
There's not a lot of guys on that team that set good screens.
No, but he, so I think it was like Scotty and Boucher. But it actually ended up being, he did get some space off, and he got a clean shot off as well. So, those will fall, but those are the exact same things that we were asking for before. It's just like, look, you can develop, you can win at the same time, but you have to be smart about it. You have to run like three, give a guy 3 plays, you get your 3 plays a game, right? And then after that, what you do with the, if you make your 3 shots or 2 of 3, then you get extra minutes or something. That's how you really should, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. Anyways, we'll talk about Barrett, then we'll talk about Barnes, and then we're gonna switch over to NBA stuff, which is a little bit more fun. Barrett missed today, but in general, Barrett's actually been doing fairly well in terms. He's been more or less consistent in terms of the production on points. I think the challenges with Barrett is always going to be defensively. He's going to not be a liability, but he's not the best defender. I do think part of that is like who he's defending. He's not really supposed to be defending threes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he should be defending twos, which is why I say, I go with, the old school thing of, you are what you eat, or, you are whatever you defend defensively, I think is probably fair. So, but overall, he's been good. He's approached the game with the right mentality, and to be honest, and this is going to lead into the Barnes discussion. He gets to the line consistently. Today, Nwora got to the line really
Yes.
well.
He
Gradey
plugged in.
got to the line.
Yeah, that's great. He was at the line quite a bit. Yeah,
Actually, Grady in general, when he plays, he gets to the line.
yeah,
Usually like 2-3 times a game, actually.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, and some of it's because of the reputation of his shot right now. And the other thing is your earlier point. He moves without the ball, so it gets him in positions, it gets people off balance in this case, where he can draw fouls that way.
yeah, so it's not like he's which is interesting because it's not like he's someone who he's not like dunking on people or stuff like that. So the people that are like, this person doesn't get fouled or whatever, Grady gets foul calls. But part of the reason that he does is because he's aggressive about it. So you have to have a constant aggression, and then as you get stronger and as it falls, it's even better because it's extra points. But that's how you get your efficiency up. But I guess if you want to comment on RJ, and then we'll just swap into Barnes because Barnes also today, I think this might have been his second highest because he got or third highest in terms of amount of times. So he's definitely gone to the line a couple times, like 13 times, not consistently, but a couple times. Today he got to it 8 times, and he made it eight of eight. And for that reason, even though he shot only 14 times, he was fairly efficient today. Ironically, shooting 0 threes. There's no 3-point shots made or taken, but he had 24 points.
Stat line seems like someone else we used to see. But
Yes.
story. I think let me start with Barrett. I think Barrett in this case, what I like with Barrett is actually maybe more what I've seen off the court. There's a sense of like I don't know what the word is. Maybe the word's pride, but pride's a little loaded, so I don't want to say that. But he has and maybe it's the Canadian aspect of it. Like he treats this as like, okay, if you're playing for the Raptors type of thing, there's a certain type of way you should present yourself type of way. That's the way I think he comes around. And maybe it's just the history of the team here in this city and what it means to the city that it shows up for him offline or shows up him off court and how he presents it. Because I mean, when I hear him speak, even at press conferences and losses, he comes off as if he wants to be a leader on the team. Now, I'm not saying he is the leader on the team. I'm just saying he comes off as a guy that wants to take on that type of responsibility. On the court, yeah, I mean, with the exception of the Utah game, which I think would really be fair to him, I think a lot of guys saw that. It showed different ways, just dead legs. But I think he's been pretty much a model of consistency pretty much since he's been traded here. Like, I mean, there's very few games, like I said before, except for the Utah game, where you can say, like, my goodness, what's going on here? He's been fantastic. He's found where to get his shots from. I think one of the things that I think is opened up here, I knew he'll always be good in transition. That's why I was never sour about the trade with him coming, because he's a very good transition player. And the Raptors, if there's anything the Raptors do want to do well and do pretty well, usually historically, is they run well. So that was a match made in heaven. But I think the other part of it with him is his playmaking has really kind of been able to kind of be expand or have the opportunity to expand with the Raptors more so than if he was in New York. And that's been something to behold a little bit. Like he's really like he still has a little tunnel vision sometimes, but then he's an odd player in that sense. You'll have these ways where you'll have this tunnel vision, and you will never think he's a guy that you'll just make a pass out of nowhere to a guy, be like a pick and roll, and on the spot one. Remember one he did for Pirtle in like game 2? He and Pirtle ran a pick and roll. He put some type of pocket pass to Pirtle. Like, good gosh, like it's odd how he could be that guy at the same time. He could be a guy where it's like bull in China shop. So he's a fascinating player in that sense, which I can't think of another player quite like him that has that hugest swing pendulum when it comes to playmaking. But
Yeah, like his playmaking, that's why it's like his I get what people say and I agree with them. Like his reads are really good, but then sometimes it's like maybe it's just like I don't know what you call it, like the meat he puts on the ball or whatever is just like he had this one turnover today that was it was kind of like dude, like you just put some more mustard on it, right? Like and you it would have went through to Bruce
Barnes,
Brown, I think it
you talking
was.
about Brown? Oh, the Barnes one you're talking. I'm
Yeah,
talking
the
about
bu-
yeah, but
mm.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry, my bad.
yeah. The Barrett in this case here, but yeah, I mean, we could jump the Barnes. I think overall, what I love about Barnes right now is they
Well, wait, actually, for so my bad. First of all, I thought you were talking about Barnes with the passing. With Barrett, I agree. In terms of his swing passes from his body, he has really good body control in his in the air. So when he jumps up and he swings it over, and usually it's like one handed. I'll technically with this hand because it's left handed is his better hand. He does a really good job. And in terms of the best driver and kicker on the team, I would say it's actually him currently.
mhm, mhm, definitely no. He's been a pleasant surprise. As for Scotty, I really like the fact that he's playing more in from the post. I think that is something that's going to be something to see a trend line to see if he continues to do so. It is interesting you made that point earlier that I hadn't noticed. It's like, oh yeah, he hasn't taken any threes today. That was fascinating.
Very
Um,
interesting.
yeah, the 3 point percentage has dipped quite a bit. You know, that's something that a little dirty secret no one's really talking much about.
Mhm.
Um, you know, there's a few reasons maybe why that might be the case, but I think him playing the post forces him to be aggressive, which means he gets the opportunity to get to the line, and that's how you start. That's how you actually start building a reputation with referees. You know, you get there 6, 7, 8 times because they say you want to be drawing contact, you want to be closer to the hoop. If you're chucking up 10 threes a game, and then you go in there a couple of times occasionally in the rim, most referees at any level are going to be like, okay, you know, show me what you got in this case. You got to do it a little more than once or twice in this case for me to get you the call. That's the case. That's what you're looking for. Some calls are some calls, but if that those 50-50 ones, you're not going to get the benefit. But I think the more he plays in the post, the better off they'll be. And I think even for his passing, I think it would help because that will end up drawing double teams if he could be effective down there.
Yeah. So someone mentioned today that there was a double team. It was not. We talked about it. It wasn't a double team because if it was the softest double I've ever seen. But you know what I will say is that the more that he is able to get to those spots, because he was getting to spots at least today, and that's something through strength, which is really nice to see. And he moves guys with his hips. He's an odd player because it's like
He's a hard player.
you know he'll be like stiff and robotic but like he'll be strong and so like that which is why I where I think again it's like his lower leg he needs to get lower in his stance and more bouncier, and I think that that will help him. But as he gets to different spots and he gets more you know used to his strength, I think what you're going to see is that he will start learning how to finish better in those spots. There's times when he's like up there and I'm like dude just dunk it,
Right.
dunk it. Like you are literally like there, right? And I as he's started to do that more and more, and as that gets more consistent, to your point, the scoring efficiency is just going to fly. Now that's the question: is the efficiency, sorry, the consistency standpoint. How long does it take him to get to there? But we can talk about that like till the cows come home and every single week.
Exactly.
So, any other points on Barnes that you want to discuss?
I think I think and I hope over time with him when it comes to playmaking, I think he still has an odd one or two turnovers a game where you're just unforced errors. Where it's like it's either he doesn't put enough heat on the pass,
Yeah.
or he puts too much heat on the pass. I think he's just trying to figure out. Like I know what he's trying to do, and then from that standpoint, I agree with people. Like he's what he's seeing the floor, but it's just that he still has trouble with sometimes once in a while with the tempo or what pass. I'll give. Hey, the pass he made to the post. I think it was the first play of the second half with the Thad. That's why I've been begging for like time. That was gorgeous. Spin move. Next man comes over, he wraps it right around her. That was fantastic stuff. That's what I was talking about. That's what I've been looking for. So to me, I think he's more. I think if he could pass out the post more often, I think it will help with him in some ways with turnovers because I think it will actually focus him a bit more. Because I think sometimes he gets a little too Wervish dervish a little bit when he's in like semi breaks and breaks. He wants to try and make a little too much stuff sometimes.
So yeah, I think what you have to do is, yeah, you have to get him playmaking where he has a good pick and roll partner who can potentially pick and pop
Right.
because that makes him dangerous. Anyways, you know what I'm thinking. But what I will say is that once you do that, once you get him, and I don't know if this is even the right coach to, because this coach doesn't really seem to like to use that play often. And I don't think that I know Pirtle, for whatever reason, people are like, Pirtle's a perfect guy. You need someone who can do both. Pick and
Yes.
roll and pick and pop. Because if you do that with Barnes as his game grows, that's going to become dangerous. Because number one, the pick, if it's set really well, it's not Barnes' first step, it's his third step where he usually has it's you talk about low torque, high torque cars. He has torque at a high level where it's like he gets up there and then he's like, unstoppable. But it's that first step is not the best. So you need that pick to create that advantage and then he can go from there. But then the other thing too is that you're getting him a consistent, like, get this read. Like, I get that you see the floor this way, but maybe because he processes the floor at a high level, sometimes you can over process it. And I think that it's almost like you're spoiled for choice. He's like, oh, I see this, I see that, and that's why he tries to conduct people and use his hands.
That's why I
And
like the,
yeah,
that's why I like the post up because the post up forces you have to react to what the defense is doing. Then you don't have a choice at that point.
exactly. So, I think, and I like that. So I'm actually looking at the Thad play. There was one in the first quarter actually, that I saw from that, and then I'm just looking at the one from the third quarter. Boom,
Yeah,
see, just there. I
that
might
was,
put it up on the screen where I'm like, all right.
that was actually gorgeous, man. Like I was like, oh my gosh, that's been fantastic. A beautiful wrap around the body, like there you see all of the talents that people talk about with Barnes on display right there, man. The strength,
Yes.
the agility, the vision to see that there. He lays it perfectly to Thad. Thad just got to flip it up. It's beautiful. And I hope they play more through that.
And people call us Barnes haters.
Boy, I tell you, that's
They
a
don't
tough one
know.
to figure out, right?
You know what? They forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. Okay. On to the next. All right, people. I gotta have a little fun here. Life is too short, and the Raptors are too bad not to. So, on to the next topic. Let's just go into. So we talked about Gradey. We talked about stuff. I don't think there's anything else from a Raptors perspective that I'm remotely interested in.
Indiana, man,
I
come
mean,
on.
we even talked about the potential like moves people to, he didn't the specifics, but yeah. So yeah, Indiana in terms of the All-Star game is very
You're a
interesting. So
I
I don't have the All-Star starters in front of me. I'm just gonna
can
pull
give
them
it to
up.
you by memory, I think. So here we
Okay.
go. Western Conference. Your guards are Luca and SGA. Your front court is a guy named LeBron James, another guy named Kevin Durant. You might have heard them, and a fella named Jokic. That's your five. On the other side, in the East, the front court, we're looking at Giannis, Embiid, and I believe Tatum is the other one.
Now, do you miss them drafting the people?
No. We're gonna get that a week or so now. Once the
Do
reserves
they
come,
still do that?
I think they still do that. Yeah, they're gonna still
Okay.
do.
Because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if we're going back to the okay.
That's right. We're right. We're going east west again, so they wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Do you so that's my question. Do you prefer this format or do you like the
Um, there's there, there's things about both I like. I like the drafting part of it, which was kind of an interesting little drama and interplay. Like it's like like hey, due to that the picky right. Everyone took the meme about when Dame got traded to Milwaukee. Everyone showed the LeBron. When LeBron's like, oh, I see what you're doing here, right? Every year there's always something, right? There's the year when someone got picked last. I think the Harden drama, which is which is classic. There's always something going on with that picking phase where it plays into a bigger plot line, if you want to say. So
Exactly.
yeah, I kind of missed that aspect of it. I think your Jokic was last or something like that. So it would make things fascinating in that sense. However, there is a traditionalist part of me, kind of like East v West, which I think the league is in a good shape now that there's stars on both sides that is no one's gonna get mollywopped in this case here, like how it was happening for a little while with the West. I think you could have that again, so I'm fine with it going back to East West.
So yeah,
Um,
you talked about the West starters. So yeah, I actually have it up here. So yeah, you're right. And I'm gonna put it up on the screen, of course. So the Western starters. Um, and and then sorry.
for the East, I had Giannis, Embiid. I think Tatum was the third front court player, right?
Yeah. So it's Embiid, Giannis, Lillard,
Lillard,
Tatum, and Tyrese.
exactly. So that's the five for the East.
And I'm
Um,
guessing when they say X, it's the amount of times that they've gotten it. So obviously Tyrese, two-time All-Star. This is going to be his second time. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, muted that sneeze. And people don't need to hear that in their ears. LeBron, 20-time All-Star. Holy smokes, jeez.
Starter too, my friend. Yes, starter. Yeah.
Was he an All-Star in his first rookie season? Or because I know Blake was one of the last people to do it. I think he was. Yeah.
As if this is his 20. This is not his 20th year.
Yes.
Yeah, he was rookie. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Someone posted a thing with LeBron, and they were like, "This is how long he's been in the league," and it was him holding a flip phone and all this kind of.
It's crazy. You can trust
and you're like, man, this makes me feel old.
LeBron, yeah, it is fascinating to see things. Like telephone booths were still around when LeBron was there. I mean, they showed some clips. I think a few weeks ago of LeBron playing. It might have been the same Detroit game we mentioned.
I think Shaq had because Shaq was in one of the All-Star games with LeBron. I think. And he had. You remember Shaq had the phone shoe, the shoe that was a phone.
Yes.
And he would like flip the phone with the antenna up and boop boop boop.
Like Get Smart, the old TV show. That's what I'm saying. But the thing was so funny when
man,
the video because they were in the 4:3 screen still. Like LeBron's highlights still are like 4:3 screens, even though he's playing now, right? So you're sitting there watching resolution. And it's like all the black lines on the side is like, holy smokes. Like,
technology is better, people. Just recognize, 2K used to not be 2K, right?
You're right.
It used to be, it used to recognize Kobe and no one else.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
The face is stretched. Anyways, let's get
the reserves.
We're getting into the reserves. So the interesting thing, so they're basically going to, again, you have the 5. So you'll have about 5 reserves. I think they have? 7. They have, so they have 7. Are 7 automatically because of injury, or they just pick 7 and then they do?
So it makes like an old school 12-man roster. So
perfect.
Question is, so who are those 7 for each side?
So let's start with the West, I guess, and then we'll go to the East. We'll save the best for last.
Yes.
Beasts in the East.
So the West in this case here, I think the obvious thing is that from the guard standpoint, the Ant-Man's gonna have to be the next man on there for sure.
Yeah,
I think Curry are probably gonna be the 2 that are gonna be there. For the West, I mean Curry's team's so bad, I do wonder a little bit. I will because I mean. It's Steph Curry. You're sitting there, no way. But when you look at the record, and you look at Denver, for example, and Jamal Murray, you're sitting there going like, maybe,
And you factor in games played, of course.
Yeah, games played. That's the thing that hurts Murray, right? Because he never plays enough games.
Right.
So in Steph Curry with the reputation, I think I gotta give it to Steph. I mean, it's like I'm trying to think if there's any other guards I'm thinking of out there right now.
Just Fox.
There's Fox. Yeah, Fox is compelling too. And
there you go, Leo. I gave you some,
Fox, where Sacramento is considering things are. I think Fox is definitely obviously he's the best player of the team, and I think he's still having a really good season. And it's hard for me to put a guy like Curry, as great as he is. The team's like what 7 games under 500 right now. What's Golden State's record now? They lost again last night, obviously. So.
I'm looking at it right now, and it's. They're 5 games under 500.
500, man. And
Houston is above them, and they're 2 games back of Houston
Yeah,
already,
I don't know, man. I'm
or a
like
game or a whole
controversial here,
game at
man.
least.
I,
It's rough.
yeah, I think I'm giving the representation to Fox, man. Fox and Ant-Man for the guards. I think Curry's got
Yeah.
this. We'll see if Curry gets in and see if there's a spot from afterwards. But for the time being, those two get in at the moment, man.
Kyrie's been injured too, I think. Not that I don't think he's played up to that
The
standard
Raptors
this
are
year.
good enough to get two All-Stars.
Yeah, Harden,
But the Clippers
no.
are hard because they all cannibalize each other, right? So that's what makes the
Yeah.
Clippers difficult.
You
And I
might
think,
get a Clipper in there
yeah, one Clipper, I think you might get in there. You might get two.
from because
But
it's a coach's vote, right? So you
yeah,
will get a Clipper. Who it is, that will be interesting. So we'll just say, as I, as
well, I'll go out there and say this. I think at this point here, based on his numbers and everything, I think it's going to be probably Kawhi. I feel,
probably
yeah. So let's say Kawhi is the next guy there. So we have
he's
three.
been playing this year.
Yeah, he played. I don't think he's missed a game, has he? I don't think he had.
No.
But boy, when he want his money, boy, he's definitely make sure he's playing. So that's three.
Stretching,
That's
ready to
three.
play.
Right. That's three. So that's three guys right there. I think I would also put. I would make it controversial to give two to this team, but he's played so well, I cannot ignore him.
So sorry,
That's
we said Fox. You said Curry, maybe.
Ant-Man and Fox Ant-Man and who's the other and Kawhi.
Okay, so that's your three already.
Yeah,
Okay.
three so far. Four more left. I think I'm gonna have to put 80. It's hard for me.
Yep.
80.
Yeah. No, 80 should be
Like,
there.
even though they're only a game or two over 500, they too good.
Does a
Um,
Rocket make it? Sangoon.
I know. I'll get to him in a second. I will see. He might make it on my team. We'll see. I'm just mulling over because I know where he's going to fight against that spot, and it's gonna be tough. But so that's four right now, right? So now who else we're looking here at? Let me see. Who else in the West? Oh,
Booker, or has he not played enough games?
that's the thing. Yeah, I don't know if Booker's played enough games at the moment because they're already
So
at
we'll
the
put Booker as a question mark.
question mark. Now, who else is a top team that's in the West that's go over 500? I'm forgetting somebody. I feel like
So we have 3 spots left.
well, see, marketing is going to be interesting.
Actually, we have 2 spots left.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
right now you have Booker as a question mark.
Yeah.
So since we have 2 spots left, we'll make three guys and put them all question marks. How about that?
Okay. So here's the two. I think I got one guy I think I have right now for sure. I think
So
Cat.
you don't have Curry.
No.
So right now it's so we'll put Cat. I was gonna ask you about Cat, so
Cat,
I
yeah,
actually
they're
will
like
put
the
him there
best team
too.
in the West at the moment. I would say they deserve to. Cats had the reputation always to be an all-star already.
Actually, it's OKC because tiebreaker, but yeah.
Yeah, tiebreaker, fair enough. But I don't think Holmgren's strong enough to make an all-star team at this
No.
point. We'll get to
And
him
I
in a
don't
little
think with Josh Giddey situation, I don't think he's not going to be there.
second all-star for OKC.
He's also not been playing
Yeah,
at an
it's
all-star
Holmgren
level,
as the
to be
second
fair.
all-star. So, but no, I think Cat in this case is just the numbers in this case. That man puts up 60 something points. I think he's been playing real well this year. Yeah, I got to play Cat.
Yeah.
So I think that's a guaranteed lot for me for Cat. So that leaves me now with one guy or two.
You're technically down to one. I'll give you two because
Okay,
we're putting them as question marks.
I'll be straight with it. It's one is one. So be it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so this is gonna be crazy. I know I'm gonna get shelled by everybody, but if I'm going on pure merit in this case here, who's left? Who haven't we forgot? I just want to make sure
You haven't covered Golden State, but you've made your point. There is also Houston with Sangoon if you want.
Utah's got a better record than them.
But then that's a lot of big guys, actually. Funny enough.
Utah got a better record.
Yeah, they do. They're 10th.
I feel like there's another Western Conference team we're forgetting that's up there.
Phoenix, but like we've already kind of said, there's like it's KD who's already there.
Right, we got OKC with their record.
Okay, there is technically the New Orleans Pelicans,
the Pelicans.
but
No, I don't think anyone out there is a standout for all.
I don't think how many games has everyone played. I don't know. Ingram.
I was played quite a few actually this year, but I don't think he's.
But has Ingram?
Ingram's probably been the better player.
Okay.
But I don't think either one of them jumps out to me as compared to Şengün, or if we had to think Şengün, if we're just talking about performance, or Curry, or who's the other guy I'm thinking of? There's one more guy I'm thinking in there, or even Paul George, right? Like all.
So
those
maybe
guys.
you get a third Clipper. It's rare that you get 3, but it does happen.
Who right now only got one right now on the team. Kawhi.
Do you even have a Clipper on the team?
Kawhi right now.
Yeah, he's not even a starter. Okay, so
So I got Kawhi as a reserve right now. So I think right now, if I'm looking at it, because there's so much parity, I don't think the Clippers should get two. I don't
Jamal
think
Murray,
Murray, but he's got the issue with
the
the
injury, yeah.
well too, right? So like,
Sabonis,
I
yeah.
think you know what? Ugh, I think I'm gonna go with marketing.
Okay, so marketing. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
go.
won't fight you on it.
Yeah, I think
All right,
Utah.
so this is what I have. We have Lowry, Cat, Booker, AD, Kawhi, Ant, and Fox. No Curry, just so you know.
Okay,
Okay.
Kawhi can play guard, so I'm not worried about that.
Yep. All right. East reserves,
Reserves, boy, this one's actually tougher. The East. Okay, so
and
let's
then
get.
we've kind of covered the West more or less. We'll do one East injury reserve.
Oh, yeah, well, that's now right because I had Randall on my squad. Just to tell you all, folks, right now, I don't know what Randall's situation looks like right now. Is he out for a
Yeah.
long time?
It's a shoulder, so once I hear shoulder, I think it's out. And I mean, the All Star game is close, so
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks out. Okay, so um, let's
they might
go.
play. They might play it safe because they're six. You know, they have the cushion to do it too.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so let's go what we know right now. Okay, so Brunson in. That's easy for the guard. So Brunson a no brainer lock. Donovan Mitchell, no brainer lock. Those two for the guards. Um,
Brunson and Mitchell. Okay, yeah, because also Garland's missed. I like Garland, but he's missed.
Garland, but no, Mitchell's been like the driving force in there.
I
So
mean,
those
Garland hasn't even been there enough. He
yeah,
missed like a whole damn month. Um,
those two are locks. Ironically, Brunson and Mitchell.
I would say no more Milwaukee people.
Yeah, no,
You already got your two.
Maxey
So
is a lock.
does the Supermax guy from Boston get it? Personally, I don't think so.
Well, right now he might not be on my team right
It
now, but
actually may be KP.
right, I already got down three guards because I put Maxey on the team. Maxey got to be on the team.
So does KP make it? So we already got three guards. Okay,
Yep,
Maxi.
three guards.
I agree
Maxey's
with
in.
that.
So that's now we're up now. We got three there. Let me get some bigs.
Does Porzingis make it?
No, and I'll tell you
So
why.
no,
Because
not enough games, or he's been relatively healthy,
relatively
relatively.
healthy, but I think there's bigs that are playing better than him. I think at the moment,
I agree with you.
yeah. I think
Um,
let's see, Randall. Okay, I'll put Randall in for the moment. Randall is in this
okay.
game.
And I'm
So,
just going down like the Eastern Conference standings.
so
So
I'm just going by memory. So Randall's in. So that means that it's covered. So that's
okay,
two.
so hypothetically, you would put Randall.
Randall,
I'll
we'll
put
get this
Randall
thing.
as a question mark because
Right.
he's
We'll get
injured,
to yeah.
and
So
we'll
put
talk about
Randall
that at
in.
the end.
Yeah. So Randall's in. Next person coming in. Bam.
So
In.
you got three spots left.
Yeah. I got,
Okay,
so
I was about to ask you about Bam. Yep,
Bam's in. He's the Miami representative. I don't think Jimmy has been
Jimmy
good
hasn't
enough
played enough games.
to play enough.
Um,
So now I'm down to how many spots? Two spots?
two spots.
Two
It's
spots
tough.
left.
This is why I'm saying it's tough, people.
Two spots left. Who else am I forgetting right now in the East? That's
Oh,
that
I'm thinking about a team, but I don't think you've talked about them yet. So
um,
Orlando Magic.
oh, my man, Paulo. Yes, he's gonna get it on my team.
One of
Yeah.
Franz or Paulo have to
No, I
be
think Paulo's the
represented.
driving. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
been
let's
he,
say it's Paulo.
yeah, Paulo. I love my man Franz. I mean, you of them.
You can hear me good, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can, okay,
yeah.
perfect.
All right. So that leaves me with one spot left.
Yeah, you have one spot left.
One last spot left. Okay. Who's who's left here?
You could put McHale, technically.
Nah.
Fair enough.
I like literally. I'm at the point now.
I
Anybody
don't yeah.
who plays under 500 in the East isn't making my team.
Okay, so then that gets the any Bulls and Atlanta people as well.
Out, 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 out.
Out. Okay, fair enough.
They're all bad teams, man. Unless you're having some monster career year that supersedes that. Heck, I even put Steph Curry in. And none of them dudes playing better than Steph Curry. I put Steph Curry on all their teams. I put those dudes on. No.
This is
So,
actually really interesting.
yeah. So, the last spot, I think, just the fact that they have the best record in the league, I think I will have to go back to the Celtic. Now, the question is, which Celtic do I pick? Right? Now,
So the expensive man or the other guy?
$1 million man get the nod? Or does the man in this case has gone away for 7 years and has decided to come back to us now? Porzingis get the spot. One of those two can get the spot.
So
Honestly, you can flip a coin. I don't really care which one you pick.
I'll
Um,
just put Celtic.
yeah, Celtic. You can choose whichever one, Boston fans, which one you want to pick.
Okay, so far for the East, we have. I'm not going to put these on it, but I'll put the original starters. But we have Brunson, Maxi, Randall, Bam, Paolo, and plus Celtic. Now Celtic is question mark. Randall's question mark because Randall is, of course, um, since he is a question mark, it's because he's injured. Now's the interesting thing. Now we're gonna put this part of the video very quickly. I think you and I probably agree because even just going down the teams and thinking who could it be, some people would argue, it will be Scotty Barnes. I'm not, because I think that in terms of who coaches typically are going to go with, they're going to go with someone who's on a winning team. It is in Indiana, and I think Siakam might actually get his All Star.
Yeah, because they get the All Star bid for if Randall's out.
Yeah, and depending on Halliburton, if he might also
That's the
take
other
some
possibility,
time.
right? Because Siakam right
If
now,
they don't
Halliburton,
have anyone, they're gonna make
yeah,
sure.
make sure they're going to have the home cooking. So either way, and right now Halliburton's injury, they're taking their time with it.
Yeah,
So it's going to be a very political decision on their part on when he comes
it will
back.
be. And you know
Yeah.
what? I wouldn't be surprised from an Indiana standpoint. They might actually on the side advocate for their guy for several reasons as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even from a PR standpoint.
Which one, Halliburton or Siakam?
No, the one that is not currently a starter.
Oh,
Siakam.
Siakam. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Because
for sure.
so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way. I have no doubt in my mind if Halliburton cannot play, Siakam's replacing him. I'll be shocked if that's not the case. Because I know how the NBA
100%.
deals with it. That's pretty much what happened with Jarrett Allen a couple of years ago in Cleveland.
When Siakam got snookered, actually, funny enough.
Exactly right. So Siakam was the one that took the butt into that. So
Because you could argue that Jared Allen is on a, like just if you're going pure winning,
right, Cleveland had a better record at the
but
time.
sorry, Allen. And then usually it's like a guy, teams get two guys. I wouldn't argue that like you'd put Tobias Harris over Siakam. So yeah, it should be Siakam.
Yeah. I think the two Sixers are the two Sixers. They're not going anywhere. Now, with how the Sixers are these days, and with Nick Nurse, the odds are both Sixers make it to Indiana. That's a whole other thing. So
That too, because
yeah,
Joel Embiid has been
yeah, they might want the week.
he's been auditioning for an icy hot commercial. So yeah,
opportunities for other guys. So hey, Scotty fans, you might still get your opportunity, man. Like
So far, with that being said, sorry, it's because I know I'm just looking at the time for the other thing. If you still want to, of course.
I'm good there, man.
Coach of the year, your
Coach
picks so far.
So far,
and after All Star, I'll ask both you and Coach your picks for the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals, because we're going to be getting to that time of the year where it's fun to look at that. But yeah, Coach of the year.
Coach of the year, you know what? I can give it to Ty Lue.
Okay. Any 30-second sales pitch for Mr. Ty?
Well, I think considering he had the toughest situation to deal with the toughest personalities probably in the league to deal with, and they're rolling right now. They are absolutely rolling, right? Like he was able to get Westbrook to play off the bench consistently and be happy about it. He's able to incorporate Harden and let Harden actually play off the ball a little bit. He's able, in this case, for Kawhi and George, say, you know what, you can share some of these shots, and he's gotten all of this pretty much even after the hiccup. They've been rolling. So Ty Lue, man, he's done it again, man. Like he finds ways to make things that are like tough situations. Like there's no coach in the league that gets tougher situations. Him and Spoelstra are the two best guys for like if you're putting tough scenarios in front of me and how to manage through them. Those are my 1A.
Yeah, I want to make a Raptors point in a second, but I'll just say my pick would probably be Mark Daigneault. Yeah, I mean, we all picked OKC to improve.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect this.
No, and I think people might be surprised to think that they think the jump is because of SGA. I don't think it's a jump. The jump is the boy from Zaga. because
Yeah.
I'll eat my hat if I had it here because you know me and Gonzaga players, and I was not Chet, dude.
I mean, I'm not a Gonzaga dude either, but I've been a Chet guy. So I've been on the record for that. So, which is a good segue. Well, actually, before I get into that, people were talking about getting Adrian Griffin back on the Raptors. Forget that, man. Like we interviewed him and we said no. It's
Yeah, that's a wrap.
move on. We like and we had enough intel to make that decision. If he
And
was gonna be here, he was gonna be here.
I don't think you really want that for your coaching staff. Like that's
No, the whole point is you were moving on from Nick Nurse and the Nick Nurse regime. That's why you fired basically everyone on the coaching staff, top to bottom.
well, funny
So
enough, Griffin got out before then, right? Because he knew that was going to happen.
he did. So at that point, like, because that's right, because I think that they hired him and then they didn't fire him yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Or I have to go back to the timeline
he resigned, I think,
where
before.
he resigned or whatever. But the reporting was is that they weren't gonna fire him. They fired everyone, and
Yeah.
then they didn't fire him, and then he left. So I think he got the hint. I think he also has moved on. I don't think he's coming, and I don't know if he's even the right coach for us. I will say if we did make a coaching change, my personal coach that I would like to hire, if he's up for the task, because I know he did deal with the loss of family last time we saw him, is Coach Budenhauser.
Mm,
He'd be interesting because in terms of building in a system and a structure and optimizing his players,
true, he does that well. If you want a ton of, like I mean,
consistency.
performing well in the regular season, they just get the building blocks going. Bud does that well. There's
No one better. And he might get a championship, depending on a couple of things. But before you even get there, I think he's a good guy to put a lot of systems in place. He did it in Atlanta really well. He did it in Milwaukee really, really well. And so, yeah.
I guess wrap things up. I know we're kind of getting late on time.
Yeah.
Let's say MVP at this point.
Yep. You can give MVP and Rookie of the Year in just one foul swoop.
I'll just play it safe. MVP at the moment. SGA MVP at the moment.
I was gonna say SGA as well. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it goes back to your last point, right? And I'll give him his due. We could see this coming, though. We saw it starting from late last year, then of course going right into the FIBA, and right where you see this happen before with guys that play international.
I just want to say, I told you, man. This dude in FIBA, this dude is a dude.
Yeah, we saw it with Vince the year he came back from Australia. He was like, I think he had like career years after, like the next year after that, like. Something about when you do play international ball, when it gets you primed and ready, you're already in shape. The mentality is sharper. So I think we both, as well.
Especially if you did it successfully, that you come into the season, you're hungry. You're like, I just won something. I'm like ready to go.
Exactly. So SGA, as far as Rookie of the Year, boy, this was tough, man. The battle of the stick, man. Look, man, I props to both of them, but I like.
I know. I think I know who you're going with, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick with my man. You're gonna stick with your guy. I'm guessing.
I'm saying Wemby, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. This when it's all said and done, what I love about Rookie of the Year ain't got nothing to do with who's got the best team or anything like that. I know. So this might trigger some folks. I get it. It might trigger some folks, but I think that year was more like the two guys were pretty much the same, and the tiebreaker was the team that guy was contributing more to winning. I think that was more the difference.
Okay, can we talk about this for like maybe even like 2 minutes? Just 2 minutes. All I'm gonna say is,
the numbers are off the chain, guys. You can't. The numbers.
The numbers are off the chain. Okay, so overall, like I know he's on a tear lately, but overall the numbers are for Wemby: 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. We're not going to talk about turnovers and stuff like that, but also I think the craziest thing for Wemby is like three blocks, which is just insane, absolutely insane. And he's shooting 30% from deep, and he's shooting 46.5% from the field overall. Just for comparison, no, he is on a way better team because he's playing with the potential. Sorry, I just flew there. But Chet, Chet, 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. So it's similar numbers, obviously a lower efficiency role, sorry, lower usage role by comparison, which is, fair. I'm not even gonna talk about free throw numbers because that's just like whatever for both of them. But yeah, so I think it's Chet is doing fairly efficient stuff at a more efficient rate because for me it's that he's shooting almost 40% from three on decent volume on 4 attempts a game. That's where I lean towards Chet. And then he still has almost 3 blocks a game. They're both good, by the way.
Yeah, I will just say is my man,
2.6 blocks.
my man's the alpha and the omega. Every
Yes.
no disrespect to Chet.
Yeah.
Some nights he might be the third option. Some nights, okay. I'm just saying, it's a lot easier living in his neighborhood. That's all I got to
Oh
say.
yeah, no. If Wemby also had Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams, and
Right,
uh,
yeah, yeah. And you're a man knocking about 40% from three for the quarters, right? You're a man case of walls. It's
oh
like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's
For
really
for a while he was like leading the league at 55%.
I
Casey Wallace was,
so
which is
is there
crazy.
let me ask you quickly, is there a third guy we haven't considered just to make sure? I mean,
You
the
want to talk
person
about Brandon Miller, I
he's
guess?
the guy is in my head
It'd
too.
be Brandon Miller. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's coming on strong a little bit, but I
He
think
is. It's a
yeah,
little too late. And when
but
you come in the league as a spectacle like Wemby, or to a lesser degree, obviously like Chet, especially early on in the season where they were going at one another, it's hard to compete against that, just even from a marketing standpoint. So it's going to be one of those two. Um, Listen, I roll with Chet all year, so I'm going to keep riding. You roll with Wemby all year. You're just yeah. So
big baby.
I think that there's no losses in having either on your team, is what I will say. All right, so moving along, we did MVP, Coach of the Year thing. We did it all. That's a show, folks.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for joining me, Beyond, of course. And with that being said, it's been fun. Like, comment, subscribe, and take care and peace.